Today we're starting on a new job. A couple things we've got to address here is this is steel here, but this is aluminum. We've got a dent here. Straighten that edge up, get that lined up with the quarter panel. We'll have to pull out this dent and we'll have to use glue to pull this out. Let's pull this inside and get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to get the paint code for this vehicle. Honda, you can usually find your paint code on the information tag on the door. There's a couple different numbers here. I think this is it right here. It's the R543P. We'll call that in, have them mix up the paint and send it out. Okay, now that we got the paint ordered, I do see here, I do believe that this quarter is sucked in just a little bit. So I have a new tool that I'm going to try out on this vehicle. But what we're going to do is we're going to weld some tabs right on the edge of this and pull this quarter panel out. First, we're going to pull out the dent here with some glue tabs. Before we put a tab on here, I'm just going to kind of warm this up a little bit. Now I got my tab. And we'll just put that right there. Let that set up for a minute or so, and then we'll try and use the slide hammer to pull it out. We're also going to place this tab while that's curing right up here in this low area. That pulled some of it out for sure. So there's a ridge right here from the dent. We're going to tap that down. Spray this, get the glue off. A little alcohol takes this glue off pretty easy. There we go. Okay, honestly, that looks pretty good. Got most of that dent out. There's a little bit of a dent right here, but we're going to pull this off, see if we can get the rest of that out. But here, we just need a little bit of filler, knock down some high spots, and I think we're done with that. So we need to move on to the quarter. That is crunched right there, but this tab lays in here and then you can pull it this way. Let's see if this works. So you put glue on both sides of this. So let's see how this works. We'll let that cure up for a minute and then we'll check it out. See how it looks. Wow, that worked out good. I think at one more pull on that, we might be good. All right, we'll let that cool down. We'll pull it one more time. We got to put a thin coat of filler on here, so that's going to be perfect. I'll use the new tool to pull out this crease right here. We'll show you how that works. We got a few little things we can pull out in this panel, but that edge came out nice. Man, pretty impressed with that little beast. Not bad at all. I'm dying to use this tool, so we're going to take this over here to this Honda. So we're going to use this tool on some of these small little dents. We got a crease here, a couple little dents in here we're going to take out. Of course, we can't use it on here because this is aluminum. I am going to remove this molding because we got to get this edge out just a little bit. Finally got this off. That piece, this piece was a real pain to get off, let me tell you. We did break a couple clips. 2 clips, saved one, but we got to fix these scratches. I had to get this off so we can get this edge filled properly. So this tool runs off 220. I think it's pretty much the same tool as the Dent Fix tool, but this is lightweight. The other one I use is really kind of heavy, and a lot of times you have to use two hands, so you got to pull it out and tap down high areas when you're pulling out a dent. It makes it difficult. We're going to try it out, see how it works. So let's grind down this quarter panel. This edge is pushed in the center here. This is right, but this has to come out. So I'm just going to use the slide hammer. Probably just pull this a little bit. And there we go. With this type of dent tool right here, we don't have to unhook the high voltage battery system. We really just have to unhook the negative battery cable, but not the high voltage part of it, which is good. I want to put the ground as close to this as I possibly can. So we'll put it right there. Here's the weight for the slide hammer. We're going to use this. Right now I'm just going to try and get out this edge right here. Whoa. I'm going to put it at 1. Man, this thing works great. Wow, it's nothing like the G90E. This thing is the real deal. Just got a little crease right over here. Just pulling this out a little bit. I'm just using it on 1. I just wanted to try it out, see how it worked. It seems to work fantastic. I'm a little bit nervous about using it on this electric vehicle, so we're going to stop there. All the small dents are pulled out. There's really nothing else I have to pull out on this. Let's grind it down and get it ready for filler. It's got a nice long cord, but I will be using this more in the future, so stay tuned. I didn't get it off Amazon. I got it from Auto Body Tool Mart. I'll see if I can share a link to it. I'll also share a link to the Dent Fix tool that's on Amazon. It was a little bit more money, and I got this on sale for, it's quite expensive. It was like 1,400 bucks. So definitely not necessarily a DIY tool, because that's a little bit of an investment for sure. There's a little high spot right here. Most people think you're not supposed to put body filler over paint, but if you properly sand it with 80 grit, it's perfectly acceptable. And in fact, in the 90s, the manufacturers preferred you put it over properly sanded paint than bare metal. But I'm going to tape off this jam so we don't get a bunch of filler in this jam. We'll put our filler in our jam later. Now this is out just a little bit too far, so let's tap this down. I'm feeling for any high spots. There's a low spot here, but there's a high spot right here. Let's put a thin coat of filler over this. We're going to use the U-Pull Lightweight Gold. Let's mix it up. The first coat, we're just going to fill all the low areas. And then the second coat will be a thin coat just to straighten it. That should be plenty. It's pretty warm today. So the dents we're filling here are relatively minor. They're shallow. Anytime you're working with filler, you want to try and do everything you can to eliminate pinholes. And one thing that'll cause pinholes is putting air into your filler. So when you mix it up, you want to fold it in till it's all one uniform color. You don't want to stir it. I kind of go back and forth and then press it out like this. Of course, you gotta be aware of your temperature, your ambient temperature, and how quickly this is gonna cure up, because it will cure up pretty quickly. All right, I've got a little too much hardener in here, so I know this is probably going to cure it pretty quick. So I'm pressing it out. And when you apply your first coat, just get a little bit on your spreader and then press it in. And just get it on there to start with. Press it in, get it on there. Most of my low air is right in here. Got a little bit over here. All right, we'll let that harden up. We'll block sand it out and we'll put another coat on. Clean off our spreader. I just spray on a little 70% isopropyl alcohol and this wipes off pretty easy. So what we got here is just a half round body filler rasp. You see it's starting to harden. This is, I mean, it's just falling off there, but anyway, this has these coarse teeth on it and you can just shave it like this. It's a little bit soft yet. See how it's rolling up? It's a little bit soft yet. When it firms up, it shaves it really nicely. Okay, we can run over this with the DA and we may still just to rough it in, but I want to kind of get an idea of where the high and low airs are. So we're just going to run over it with 80 grit sandpaper. We're blocking these doors together, right? We don't even have to put any guide coat on this right now. Sanding in an X pattern. And we're going to see real quick where we break through and where the low spots are. So right here you can see a low spot because it didn't get sanded. In here, low. Right here's a little low. This sanded through, so that may be a little bit high. Yeah, that's a little high there. This might be a little low here too. So we'll block that some more. Now I'm going to tap this high spot down just a little bit. So you can see the low spots. We'll see if they start to disappear. Right here, starting to disappear. This is definitely low in here and high right there. Probably need a little bit of filler up in here. This is definitely low. See, we got a high spot here, high spot here. This is low in here. We're going to tap down this high spot because I know this is too high here. Put on my spreader. I'm going to start out over here. So first I wanted to get to start sticking to the panel. There we go. Okay, so the body filler is dry now. We're just gonna run over it with some 80 grit just to get these ridges all smoothed out in this rough area. I'm not trying to straighten it with this, just rough it in, and then we'll get our block on it and block it out straight. That's good enough to rough it in. Normally I wouldn't use guide coat on this right now, but I'll just put it on here so you can see actually what's happening, and I can share with you what to look for when you're trying to get it straight. So I guess I accidentally grabbed 180, so that was 180 we're blocking this with, but we're gonna use 80 now, and it'll cut it a little quicker. So we're going in all different directions. You can see it's starting to flatten out. You can see where the little low spots are, a little low spot here. We'll just keep working this out until we have it pretty much flat, or we have a low spot that we might need to fill. If we start breaking through into bare metal, like if I were to break through to bare metal here, I know that would be high, or else I would have low areas around it. So we'd have to address that. If I break through into bare metal, that's an indicator that I need to stop blocking in that area and figure out what's going on. Do I have a high spot? Do I have a low spot around it? So if I broke through here, I need to determine, is it low here? We can do that by feeling over it, seeing if there's a high spot in the metal that we need to tap down, or if it's low around it, we need to build that up. Okay, this is looking really nice. It's coming out really straight. I don't really have any high spots. I have a little bit of a low spot here. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna block this with 180, get some of those 80 grit scratches out. I'm gonna take some 320 on an orbital sander. I'm gonna go around the edge and start preparing this edge. We've got some body filler over here that we need to sand off. We don't necessarily need to block that off, but we need to sand it. Then I'll block it with 180. We'll put a thin coat of glaze over it. We use USC icing. That'll fill any deep scratches I missed. It'll be very thin. It'll be easy to block, and then it'll be ready for some primer. But if you look, it really came out nice, really straight. We're gonna have to fill a little bit inside that door jamb. That's not a problem. And this is not going to affect the bodywork itself, because I'm not going to go over the bodywork. I'm just cleaning up the edges. And of course, we don't want to get too far out into this door, because we want to keep it as small as possible and leave as much room to blend as we can. It's not going to take too much with this. .180 is what you want to use before you put glaze on it. It's good to apply glaze over a 180 grit scratch. All right, let's mix up some glaze. This is the product we're using here. This is USC icing. It's a polyester finishing putty, very thin, very easy to work with. It sands really easy, very smooth. We're gonna fill this side first with the jam as well, and then we'll fill the outside of this door. Uses the same hardener as body filler. It's plenty. Mix it up the same as body filler, fold it in so it's all one uniform color. A little bit on our spreader. I'm going to fill this first. I'm just going to start at the edges because we got some pinholes there. we get a little excess, that's okay. The sand's off really easy. You don't have to put a lot of pressure with this stuff. I'm going a little bit past the edge of the filler. It's starting to harden up here. Now I'm going to clean up the edges with the 320 on the orbital sander. Okay, it's pretty much ready for primer. We're going to go ahead and block this with 320 on the longboard. I'll run around the edges with 600 before I prime it. All right, I got 320 on the block. We'll use guide coat again, and this is going to show us our 180 grit scratches, give us an idea when all those are sanded out, because it fills those 180 grit scratches. Then as we block it, those will be removed. See, if you look closely here, you can see the 180 grit scratches right there, see? This really isn't changing the shape of the body filler. It's just refining those scratches. All right, we gotta sand both of these panels with 600 grit anyway for the blend and the clear coat. So we're just gonna go ahead and sand out the outside edge of this, start getting it prepared for the blend. That way, if we get a little primer over a certain area, it'll be over a sanded finish. Okay, this is the primer we're using here today, the UP2253V. The V is what makes this able to be used as a sealer. So if you mix it up 4-to-1, that's a high build primer. Mix it up 4-to-1-to-1, that's a primer surfacer, which is just a thinner primer, and that's what we're going to be using today. This is the activator we're using here, so we went ahead and we mixed up. We got our 4-to-1 mixing ratio here. We added 2 parts of the primer. We went over to the 1 column and added 2 parts of the activator, and then about 20% reducer to thin it out, and that's going to be the primer we use on this vehicle. And we're using a disposable cup system. I just find this very easy to use. You dispose of the liners and the lids. I'll show you the lid here in a minute, but it just makes for easy cleanup. The gun's easy to clean up after that. You got to make sure this is stirred up really well. Make sure the viscosity is consistent. Depending on how straight your bodywork is, you don't really need a thick primer. I really am more concerned about the drying time. We're going to let this sit and dry overnight. I like to let all my 2K primers dry overnight. So this is our lid. This has a micron filter on it. So the gun we're using for our primer is a 1.5 tip. This is an R500, just an inexpensive paint gun I bought on Amazon. You can pick this up for right around 60 bucks, I believe. It comes with some different nozzle sets, but This gun sprays good. If you wanted to spray base and clear coat out of this gun, you could. I like to have a separate primer gun. We put a little bit bigger tip in this, the 1.5, just to make the primer flow out a little bit better. Okay, Darius has got this all taped up. We got a little soft edge foam tape. You don't have to use that, but we're putting it around there just so we don't have a hard line. Hard lines are hard to sand out, and they could cause a little bit of issues. So we're going to spray in this jam right here, and then the quarter panel, shut the door, spray that. But we're going to use low pressure, very low pressure to start with, because I'm going to spray in here first, and then we'll shut the door. I'm not going to pull the trigger all the way. I'm just going to lay some primer in here. Put one good, there's not a lot of overspray. You don't have to worry about that. There we go, that's better. I don't know what's going on there. It's okay, it's all gonna get sanded anyway. So we got one coat on there. Let's grab the heat lamp and put it on this. We got one good coat on there. We'll let that dry for 10 to 15 minutes. Darius is gonna put the heat lamp on it. I'm gonna spray this panel right here. You just want to overlap your passes about 75%. Put it on as smooth as possible, but we are going to block sand this, so that's not going to be an issue. There you have it. We've got 2 coats of primer on here. On the next episode, I'm going to share with you how to block sand this out, how to get this ready for paint. If you're looking for a digital guide to help you with your repair or restoration projects, I have those available at garagenoisegear.com. Step-by-step guide that's going to walk you through the entire process. A little bit easier than watching a video. You can check those out. We have how to use body filler, how to pick the perfect primer for your project, and much, much more. Listen, I want to let you know I appreciate each and every one of you watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you want to help support us, the best way to do that is to like and share this video, and definitely subscribe if you want to learn more about auto body and paint repair.